Pro fighters are pussies, okay? They're only good in the ring. People I know will not accept a loss, okay? If a pro fighter did his jujitsu on him, then the guy's gonna come back and duct tape his family. You guys need to wake up. These are very big time squares. Pro fighters are the epitome of squares. They're like, come in the ring and I'll fight you. You guys live in a fantasy world where pro fighters aren't the biggest squares on the planet.
For those of you who don't know, that is Wes Watson, former felon turned into motivational speaker, red pill leader, etc., etc. And normally this type of content wouldn't even make the main stage on my channel. One, because we're above it. I mean, he's a clear head, as indicated in some of the other content that we've covered on this channel before in regards to him, like when he got sensitive being on the Fresh and Fit podcast live panel.
So what's the distinction? After you make X amount, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you look at these studies done on this, it does not it does not hugely improve a person's life.
Are you proud of who the you are?
Why
look at, are you proud? If you look in the mirror, would you guys say this motherfucker proud of who the he is? That's a bag of trash, dude. Pull your shirt
because
off
I've been.
Tell me you're proud
because
of yourself.
I've been to prison.
Jesus Christ!
Because
look
I've been
at
to
you,
prison.
Bro. You got 10-inch arms and tits. Men don't have tits.
Yeah, this is the type of dude who wouldn't normally make the main stage. But I do think that he sparks a very interesting conversation. One that we've kind of talked about for a minute is that the red pill is dying, which, round of applause. Kudos for that. But I think we did an overstep in saying that it's dying, but we should rather say that it's evolving. You see, a lot of the figures who blew up during the COVID era are no longer here. Whether it be Kevin Samuels dying underneath a prostitute or whatever they said she was, or the Tate brothers getting caught up in sex allegations and abuse scandals that are actively going on. We're talking about real life investigations. Or doofus Wes Watson right here, who's getting actively sued for millions upon millions of dollars.
Okay, now so the next part. On or about December 29th, the date of the subject incident, plaintiff approached defendant Watson in the gym, as he was instructed to do, to talk about posts and messages authored by Watson through social media platforms. When the defendant became enraged, angry, and violent and began striking plaintiff with the hard metal buckle on a heavy leather weightlifting belt, using the belt as a dangerous weapon and striking plaintiff multiple times about his body, including his head. At various points, Watson was using racial slurs and called plaintiff the N-word, I'm not going to say it, and threatened to kill plaintiff multiple times. The initial attack and all the subsequent attacks were unjustified.
Only the toughest of the red pill take offense and start getting into fights with people at their gyms. But so I think over the past couple years, the over-the-top theatrics have become so much. Like, they've become to the point where people just can't stomach it. It started off with being good, normal advice to men, go to the gym, get close to God, start a family, be a good father, etc., etc. Build up your credit, start a business. Just pretty generalized stuff. However, every once in a while, it was just sprinkled with misogyny, homophobia, and whatever other hatred that you want to throw into the conversation. The red pill started picking up more and more and more of that steam, to the point we get the over-the-top caricatures of men, bad actors in this community where they're taking advantage of young and helpless individuals, putting on KKK masks and hoods and monkey suits and saying that all women are whores, men should never be married, and just getting to a point where people are saying to themselves, even the consumers of that community said, hey, enough is enough. I can't relate to this anymore. These guys are detrimental to my mental health. And part of that was them getting out into the real world, potentially trying out that rhetoric and seeing that it's failing for themselves. But another part of it was these guys getting online and embarrassing themselves through hypocrisy and other actions over the past couple of years. Kind of like when Walter got a 304 pregnant and then did that whole abortion scandal, or some of the stuff from just every single last one of these red pill dudes found themselves being embarrassed in some sort of public light. Pia is my go-to VPN service for all my privacy and security needs. Whenever you're browsing online, you are transmitting a ton of data, and there can be a lot of bad actors looking to do a lot of bad things for that data. A virtual private network, or a VPN, is an app that hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. Pia gives you private internet access, so you don't have to worry about things like hackers, ISP advertisers, or the government taking your information or restricting your online access. It's like having a full-time bodyguard when you're surfing the web. Pia also gives me the ability to watch a ton of shows and play a bunch of games that are restricted in my region. All from just choosing from one of its servers from the 91 countries or 50 states, I can watch whatever show on Netflix I want to. The best part is one subscription gives you PIA access to an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time. So whether I'm in the house or if I'm on the go, or if something happens to my device and I gotta switch to another one, Pia's got me. Go to piavpn.com/Ohmeezy, OHMEEZZY, and get a whopping 83% off. Plus, you can get 4 months extra for free. At that point, it's just $2.03 a month. Like, you can't afford not to have it. Did I also mention signing up is risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support? Shout out to Pia for sponsoring this video, and stay safe out there. But even though the figures are dead, that doesn't mean that the ideology just goes nowhere. They go into different places and spaces and take on new faces every single year. I think a key indicator of this is how the election swayed from one side to the other side. You know, young voters voted Democrat, historically speaking, in these past couple of elections in my lifetime. But now we can see the trends go towards, you know, the Republican side. And this is partly due to, you know, these younger voters being experienced in the red pill community over the past couple of years. Until we get to last year's election where Donald Trump is going on like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, and he, a new figure in the red pill community, even though it doesn't seem like that, you know, he is now being crowned as the champion, and he's spreading this rhetoric to this young and seemingly naive, you know, community about certain things. I see another place in space that rhetoric for the red pill community has spilled over into is the streaming community. Now, streaming has become so mainstream and so big and so pervasive that naturally all of the young eyes and audience would gravitate towards it. So when you sit here and you're watching your favorite content creator play video games and then react to the news and say stuff like this, it's no wonder that you start, you know, getting back into that red pill bag that you quote unquote escaped from a couple years ago.
Oh, Dochi rant? Oh, dude, don't get me started on that bitch. Don't get me started on that industry plant. Don't get me started. You guys can say shit whatever you want about me, but one thing about me is I'm not an industry plant. I've been streaming for like a long time now. Fuck Dochi, the umbrella clip pissed me off. What an entitled, unintelligent piece of shit she is, bro. She deserves, bro, I'm not joking, bro. Stop listening to her music. Cardi and Abel, why would you give her a feature on a remix? You shouldn't have cleared it. She's just the worst. She's a piece of shit. She stole someone that I used to know. She makes no good music. She's horrible. So fuck Dochi, okay? She has zero talent.
Now, you would have thought that Dochi committed like treason the way that Aiden Ross talked to her, but she talked to her team sternly about getting her umbrellas in a room filled with a lot of noise, so she shouted. She cursed at him, and it seemed a bit aggressive, but it did not call for Aiden Ross to call her a bitch. But so this is what red pill content looks like. It's a sprinkle here of disrespect to women. It's a sprinkle there of homophobia. It's a good sprinkle of transphobia mixed into your content to push out to a bunch of other people. It's not as overt anymore, and this is where people are gonna have a hard time picking up on the rhetoric. There's not one singular face. You know, there was a point in time in which a teacher had pointed out that her kids were watching Andrew Tate, and they could link that back to the rhetoric in which he was saying, or that the kids were saying in the classroom.
Matthew, teachers have spoken very vividly of how they are deeply worried about how the language, the attitudes, the behaviours that Andrew Tate models in his content are having a far-reaching influence on boys as young as 10 and 11, and certainly older teenagers. That, they say, is translating into a culture where casual sexism is normalised in UK schools, where the kind of language that you might hear in some of Andrew Tate's videos are then repeated by children back to teachers, and that, along with other online content, is contributing to harassment in schools, to sexual assaults in schools.
But now you see the rhetoric played out in current events and general content. It's been so many conversations about Meg Thee Stallion and Haley Bailey and Tory Lanez and DDG, and the way that that has divided men and women, and some of the rhetoric being used by some of these platforms, even if it's just a Twitter account, is the new way that the red pill community is displaying itself. It's the same women are liars rhetoric, men are better, you know, get back in the kitchen, etc., sprinkled in with a little bit of men's self-help. But because it's not as overt as we once saw it be a couple years ago, ago, nobody's really talking about it. There's not one centralized singular face who's made their entire platform about it. In fact, all those people who have done that have tried to go against that grain as much as possible. I can't remember the last time I've seen a video clip about one singular content creator go so far down the rabbit hole of saying they hate women, women are thoughts, etc., etc. That's, you know, not out of the fresh and fit camp, because they're going to continue to do that. But you can bet your bottom dollar that you will see red pill rhetoric pop up in the next AMP drama, or, you know, Duke and his baby mother situation, or whatever the case may be. Look, am I glad that we are away from the days of the Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fits, Andrew Tates, or whoever the case may be? 100%. Like, I'm glad that Wes Watson and his core fan base is slowly dying and nobody's wanting to watch them. I said at the time when Kevin Samuels passed away that things would just be taken to a whole nother extreme, and if this was bad, we are in for worse. And we've weathered that storm, and it's over, but it's not over at the same time. This doesn't mean that you stop listening to the youth. This doesn't mean that you take the foot off the neck of some of these, red pill dudes or red pill adjacent dudes or people that have this rhetoric and ideology. Make sure that you continue to press and challenge them, and make sure that you consume the content that the younger people are consuming, because while they may be watching their favorite creator play video games, the next thing could be a tirade about how Meg Thee Stallion is a whore, or how this woman deserves less, or how men don't have rights or some regards. And then hell, who knows? They could have Donald Trump on the stream in 2 weeks from now, spitting some xenophobia or whatever new shit he's pushing.